Today we're taking a look at these NBA matches, which are happening on Monday, May 1st, 2023, and giving you our team and total picks for today. Welcome back to High Stakes. Before we dive into our video, don't forget to subscribe and to push the notification bell so you don't miss any of our videos. Also check out our Patreon if you want access to our premium picks. Our Patreon is a way for us to help you improve your chances of making more money, and if you are interested in props and parlay picks, check out our new channel High Stakes Props and Parlays, where you can find our player props and parlay picks predictions. You will find the link to our Patreon and to our new channel in the description and comments section below. Philadelphia 76ers vs Boston Celtics. Embiid led the league in scoring this season, 33.1 ppg, and having him sidelined gives Philly some interesting strategic questions to confront on the plane over to Boston. The Celtics' offense didn't exactly face much resistance in the form of Atlanta's defense. Boston averaged 121.16 ppg versus the Hawks, but Boston's offense is still one of the best in the league, ranking second in offensive efficiency, 1.148 for the season. Without Embiid scoring available, Philly's chances of winning games that end up in the 115+ range aren't going to be good because they just don't have the same kind of firepower. The Sixers expect that their defense 7th in defensive efficiency won't be routinely allowing that many points, but how much do they really want to slow things down, considering the Celtics' defense despite minimal effort versus Atlanta at times still ranks better, 3rd in defensive efficiency as well. And a big part of Philly's rating begins and ends with Embiid's play and presence defensively. That's also not going to be available, which means the Sixers grade out worse than that ranking with their available guys. Not exactly the best way to win either. It all makes for more of a wait-and-see approach for me with Philly in this series, because I'm curious as to what their strategy will be without Embiid, especially since it's possible he misses significant time. At the same time, should he return for Game 2 and beyond, what the Sixers decide to do in Game 1 won't have as much bearing on what to expect going forward, so I can't get too invested in trying to figure out their best course of action when it may only matter for a single game wager. The number says it's probably a few too many points, especially with the leaky defense we saw from Boston against Atlanta. Boston owns a 1.160 defensive efficiency number over their last 3. But if Boston plays to their advantage of having much more scoring ability on the floor, this number will be warranted if the Celtics hit 120+ and run away. I really don't think we see as soft defense from the Celtics in this series as we saw in the opening round, as that was more a product of the matchup, and that Boston was the far more talented team and expected that talent to win out in the end. That's exactly what happened in Game 6, as the Celtics made all the plays during crunch time to turn what was a close game into an unexpected cover as -7 road favorites in the 128-120 win. This is far from a favorite play in these playoffs, because even with the number being high and missing the move post-Embiid news, it's still got to be Boston or nothing for me here. There is just not enough scoring on Philly's roster to expect that they'll be coming off this much time off knocking down shots to even attempt what Boston brings at home, 120.2 ppg. Unless the Sixers have been practicing these last few days knowing Embiid wasn't going to be available, I think the surprising nature of him still not being to be able to play could work as a severe deflator as well for Philly. Furthermore, we haven't even really touched on the idea of rust for the Sixers, as that's a long time away from playing high-stakes basketball this time of year, and it's not like Brooklyn gave them a significant challenge to begin with. Are we really that certain an Embiid-less Sixers team is ready for the step-up in competition level that Boston brings? I'm not so certain, and at least for Game 1, I think even at the worst of the number, there are just too many things potentially working against the Sixers in this spot that I've got to lay the chalk with Boston. Our team pick is Boston -10 points. Predictably, the Embiid news saw a move downward on this total as well, as not having the league's top scorer is going to do. It's a move I do agree with, as Philly's ability to score is a huge question mark for me here, especially when I do expect to see a much better version of the Celtics defense relative to the one we saw play versus Atlanta. Boston did have their best defensive effort of that Atlanta series in Game 1, as it was the only time they held Atlanta to less than 100 points. Considering that Game 1s do tend to have that feeling out process in a series where both sides assess what the other is looking to do, Boston took the approach of playing strong defense first and adjusting from there. There is no reason to think the Celtics won't do something similar in this Game 1, especially because they likely have plenty of questions and thoughts about how Philly plans to attack them without Embiid. Lock in defensively first, see what hands Philly shows, and go from there. Should be good enough to keep this game under the total. Phoenix Suns vs Denver Nuggets. Phoenix allowed all 5 Denver starters to score double figures in the Game 1 win, and Bruce Brown scored 14 off the bench as well. Denver led by as many as 25 in the game and easily dispatched Phoenix in the series opener. The Suns also had 16 turnovers, which led to Denver attempting 17 more shots in the game. Denver took control in the second quarter, winning the period 37-19, and it was never close after that. Devin Booker played heavy minutes again, logging 40 minutes while putting up 27 points, 8 assists and 4 rebounds. Durant also played well, with 29 points and 14 rebounds in 36 minutes. There was not enough production outside of the two stars. Phoenix will need bigger games from their role players to keep up with Denver. DeAndre Ayton had 14 points, and Chris Paul added 11. Fifth starter Josh Okogie only added 2 points, though he is in the game primarily for his perimeter defense. No bench player scored double figures. Reserve center Jock Landale led the bench players with 7 points. The Nuggets used a big second quarter and an excellent game from Jamal Murray to win Game 1 by 18 points. Jamal Murray had 34 points and 9 assists, leading the Suns coach Monty Williams to say, "Let's be honest, some of the shots he hit tonight, I don't think anybody could have stopped him." Murray led the way, but he was far from the only Nugget that had a good night. Nikola Jokic dominated the inside, scoring 24 points and adding 19 rebounds and 5 assists. Aaron Gordon was a difference maker. He had 23 points and only missed 4 shots on 9-13 shooting. Michael Porter Jr. was relatively quiet, scoring only 11 after averaging 17.4 on the season. Bruce Brown added 14 off the bench, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had 10 as the fifth starter. The Nuggets played more physical inside, as Jokic and Gordon can play bully ball against the Suns' frontline that does not have much size outside of Ayton. Phoenix has their backs against the wall and has too much talent to pass up getting 4.5 points here. Kevin Durant is a playoff legend, and Devin Booker has scored 45 or more twice already in these playoffs. DeAndre Ayton can defend Jokic well enough to slow the two-time MVP down. Ayton just found himself in foul trouble in Game 1, which is why Jock Landale got so many minutes. Aaron Gordon was excellent in Game 1, but Phoenix will adjust defensively, as it is unlikely Gordon will shoot 69% from the field again. The Suns dropped Game 1 in the first round, but won Game 2 on the road by 14, while Kawhi was still playing. Expect a big bounce-back game here from Phoenix, using their stars on the perimeter to keep this game close and cover the spread. Take the Suns plus 4.5 points. Game 1 had the exact same line of 227 and went over with a combined total over 232 scored in the game. Game 2 will go over as well. Both teams are excellent offensively. Denver had 6 scorers reach double figures in Game 1, and Phoenix has 2 of the best scorers in the league. Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, and Michael Porter Jr. all scored below their season averages. If any of these 3 go off for a big game, this should go over easily. The Suns want to speed up the game. Jokic is not a fast defender, and they know they can take advantage in transition if they push the ball quickly. Denver has gone over the total in 4 of their last 5 games, and the same will happen here. Take the over 227 points.